I'm joined now by someone who knows the impact of this war firsthand. Terrell Germain Starr is a journalist and a non-resident senior fellow with the Atlantic Council's Eurasia Center. He also hosts the Black Diplomats podcast. Terrell spent years living, studying, and working on and off in Ukraine. He was there when the war began in February. He spent weeks reporting on the devastation while also working with local residents to help people flee the violence. Terrell, good to have you here. Thank you for being with us. Thanks for the time and effort that you have devoted to this story and telling parts of it that we don't always understand. The Ukrainian resolve, let's just talk about that, because you, like me, spend most of your time on the ground there with people as opposed to with office holders and things like that. They got a lot of resolve, but it is cold. It is now heading into the second winter that they will have to withstand this. The Russians are targeting power plants, which they weren't doing a year ago. It's not going to break the resolve of the Ukrainian people that you have met.
Absolutely. So when Putin says we're ready to negotiate, I guess so. Look, let's just think about this. Here on Christmas Day, 10 months ago, Russian President Vladimir Putin believed that he would be in the middle of Kyiv celebrating Russian Christmas and liberating the Ukrainians from the so-called Ukrainian Nazis and whatever nonsense that he was talking about. That has not happened. We see the attacks on the Ukrainian infrastructure because they're losing on the battlefield, and they don't have the capacity, the resources, or the logistical knowledge, or quite frankly, the competence to advance any further into Ukraine. In fact, they're losing ground bit by bit, depending on where you are in the country. And so right now, when you talk about the resolve of the Ukrainians, I speak to my friends all the time, every day, and they say that, they're coming up with ways to get around the lack of electricity, and they're getting around the frustrations with being in the dark. And so the constant refrain to me is, we will never be under Russian rule. We will never be their slaves. That's just an attitude that they continue to have, and that's not going to change.
And the refrain that I heard back then and you hear now is, when we're talking about negotiations, we're not talking about giving up any territory. In fact, most Ukrainians would like Crimea back.
In fact, the thing about Crimea, everyone asks me, what's the chances of Ukraine getting Crimea back? That's going to be a tough challenge, primarily because, you know, even though Crimea is Ukraine, it's very different from Kherson. It's very different from Luhansk and Donbass. And so they're just far more entrenched there. And so, and just tactically, in order for them to be in firing range, they have to get to the southern region of Kherson. That's not going to happen anytime soon. It will happen eventually, I do believe. But when, we're not sure. But it's definitely something that's possible, primarily because they have the capacity to fight back. And the Russia being the second most powerful military on earth, that myth is gone. So this mystique about how the fearsome Russian military has been broken, and it's given them optimism.
I want to just make a point that you just made more clearly here. The idea that Russia can't advance on the ground in any meaningful way and take new territory, and has actually lost territory, has resulted in these attacks on energy plants, because you can just send a missile to one. So they say, the Russians argue that these are these plants that create electricity that they're hitting are being used for military purposes. But in fact, we've watched for 10 months civilian infrastructure being attacked, and these electrical plants in places that have nothing to do with, that are nowhere near the front.
Oh, absolutely. Even when I was in Ukraine, I was nearly hit myself under missile attacks that were in civilian areas. And the thing about these missile attacks against civilian infrastructure, they do serve a military purpose in a sense that the Russian military is losing. And so the whole point of hitting the civilian infrastructure is to force the Ukrainian population into asking their government to capitulate, to give in.
I want my electricity back.
But they don't care about that. Their whole thing is, we will freeze. And kids are conditioned to think this. When I was walking around Ukraine and you talk to the youngest people, they're all saying that we're willing and we're going to sacrifice and suffer because we don't want to be under Russian rule. That's the constant refrain. Very simplistic. But I think the main thing is that Putin really does not understand the Ukrainian people or his quote unquote brothers like he thinks that he does. And so I think that there's still a shock that's going on to think, oh my God, I thought that you people loved us. I thought that you liked us. And he's getting bad intel, but he's also delusional, and that goes into the...
So for all those NATO countries that were alarmed that if he gets to Ukraine, he's going to come after us, it seems evident that Vladimir Putin's Russia has no ability to invade an actual NATO country and face the wrath of what will happen if they tried that.
Listen, in all respect to Ukraine, we all know that most NATO countries are far more equipped.
Yes.
Their training is much better. They have far better technology. We're not giving Ukraine our best equipment. We're not giving our best our fighter jets. We're not giving them our best. We're not giving them we're not giving them our best tanks. We're not giving them the best of anything, even though they do deserve it, right? And so just imagine them even going against Poland and what that would represent.
Right.
They don't have the capacity to do it. But the main thing that we need to pay attention to is that 8 years ago, Ukraine was a military on paper. For them to move from, I've had people say, well, Terrell, we were trying to decide what the Ukrainians want on this day or that day. They were so disorganized.
Right.
And now that they are able to fight back Russia 8 years later, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
It wasn't supposed to happen this way.
There were a lot of people who thought that despite what we thought, we overestimated Russia's capacity, but fully underestimated Ukraine's capacity.
Because we didn't know how well the reforms would take place, because everyone's focused on them militarily, but also there was civil society in Ukraine that facilitated the space so that Ukraine could receive this foreign aid.
Yeah.
8 years ago, all of this investment militarily would not have happened because they didn't have the capacity to do so.
Amazing reporting on your part. Thank you, my friend. We have many conversations to have. Terrell Jermaine Starr is a non-resident senior fellow at the Atlantic Council's Eurasia Center and the host of the Black Diplomats podcast.